Opening race weekend at the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup at Sigulda in Latvia. Wherever you are, thank you for joining us. Good afternoon and welcome back to this Latvian track as we get ready for the second and deciding heat in the opening race of the weekend. Sigulda is a double two-man race weekend, and in fact this year it's a quadruple two-man race weekend fortnight. We have 13 sleds from 7 nations in our entry list, and after the first heat we have an intriguing situation where the Latvians have misfired and Germany have the top 3 places. Christoph Harper lies in 3rd position. He is 14 hundredths off gold, only 2 hundredths ahead of 4th, only 4 hundredths ahead of 5th. In 2nd place is Francesco Friedrich of Germany. Double race winner 2 years ago. He took a silver medal in the one race that he contested in February this year. And he lies just 8 hundredths off the lead. And that lead is held by the first timer here, Johannes Lochner. By far not his first time two-man race in World Cup, but he has never raced here in any category before now. So Hansi Lochner and Christian Rasp, the Bavarians, lead from Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margist. And that's the way it looks. Look how close it is. A quarter of a second and less covers the top half dozen, including the top Latvian, who is our World Cup rookie here, a debutant. And it could be very interesting for Davs Kaufmanns, former brakeman turned driver, raced in the Europa Cup last year, finished in 4th place in the race here in January. But Ralf Berchins and Oskars Kybarmanis, the defending double champion from February this year, they're outside the top half dozen in 8th and 9th ahead of Roman Heinrich and the rest of the field. Great view there of the runners. A reference runner is a blank steel cut in the shape of a runner which is hanging in the shade at the top of the track. That is 2.6 degrees. Your runner may not be more than 2 degrees away from that in either direction. Johannes Lochner, like all the other athletes, limbering up underneath this Greco-Roman edifice. It's not, it's the start ramp and the first couple of corners, which are way up in the air. Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margist, as Torsten will be looking for a little bit of extra pace down the track. Nothing wrong with their starting. They started as quick as Lochner and Rasp, but Francesco didn't quite have what he needed. So Christian Rasp warming up, getting ready to go. That explosion of power at the start might give his driver everything he needs. And that's Hansi, isn't it? And there is the French brakeman, Lionel Lefebvre. In the background, in the other blue jacket, you can see Roman Heinrich. And they're limbering up Francesco Friedrich with Alexander Schuler. Latvia celebrated their National Day of Remembrance just a few days ago. And Latvia's National Day in the spring, in January. The country now just over officially 100 years old as an independent entity. Interesting run from the Swiss, Michael Vogt in 4th place, just 2 hundredths out of the medals. Simon Friedli, who crashed in race 1 in February and finished in silver in race 2, is in 5th spot. So the Swiss neatly poised right behind the Germans. And here's how we go. We go in reverse order of their first heat performance. So first off, as he was in the first heat, will be Mattia Variola with Constantin Ugi, Mihir Tentea of Romania, Dominic Dvorak, Roman Heinrich, and the rest will go in reverse order. So every sled will have a slender or a less than slender advantage over the one that has preceded it until we get to our race leader, Johannes Lochner, who goes last. Second heat, day 1 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. First race of the weekend here in Sigulda in Latvia. Mattia Variola with brakeman Constantino Ugi. The Italian was first off the blocks this morning. That's just the way the draw fell. And 13th place after the first heat. He is our first to go. 25-year-old with a 29-year-old brakeman. It's only the 12th World Cup for Mattia as a driver, having converted from the back seat a couple of seasons ago. 5:03 getaway, exactly what they produced in the first heat. And he'll hope to tidy up a few of the little errors on the first run. Less of a clip, 2 to 3. Whoops, little rocky, little late. Now, as the temperature has not risen any since the first heat, in fact, it may well have dropped a little, they might find the track is just a little faster and skiddier. 100.6 is decent speed. As our first man down in the second heat, of course. Whoa, he is setting the new speeds that everybody else will be matched against, but a huge skid there. Very, very sideways into 16. I'm afraid that is going to cost him a lot of time. 50.42, 3100 slower than his first run. And he was probably ahead of his first run for 2/3 of the way down the track. Out of 11, 12, 13 is a really, really key area on the track, and it all went wrong for him. Simone Bertazzo there in the green jacket, helping with the coaching. Big height here as he comes off 13. Hard take on onto 14. So he's late on with a big bump, comes off late. See, the corner's stopped, he's almost on the sidewall. And then he doesn't steer out of it. He knows he's going to take a hit, and that'll straighten the sled up. But all of that sideways, like ice skates or skis, when the runners go sideways, they don't exactly speed you up. And then big height early in 15, comes down, but then gets sent up again. And that's the late exit there that sends him sideways over the hill and down the other side into 16. There's the high-tech solution for getting the sleds up the track, mind you. At least they're not dangling them off wires and craning them up anymore. Next up, Mihai Tente of Romania. Ciprian Dorocci, his brakeman. 500ths of a second they had in hand over Mattia Variola. Not a great hit. They're going to have to work on synchronizing that. Again, the brakeman was moving the sled before Tente even got to the front handle. You need them both working together. 5:06, couple of hundreds in the bank. Into that big turn 1, you go very quickly into 2, and then a little rattle to 3. Out of corner 6, 7 and 8 and 9, this second labyrinthine section. Then corner 10. Big exit off corner 11, rattles the walls, going to put him a little late into 12 and 13. Decent enough exit off 13, clean off 14. This is where the speed comes in. Best speed we've seen, kilometre an hour quicker than Variola, and not as sideways as his first heat. 1:24.3, better speed than he had in the first heat. And a better run, 49.97. That's a 10th quicker, 900s if you're going to be specific, but, you know, we'll give him that. So Mihai Tente goes a little quicker, and the sled in front of him only had a 700ths of a second advantage. It was better. I'm glad it felt better, because I thought it looked better too. Mihai is a fun kid, 21 years of age. Again, you could already see his brakeman there, Ciprian, digging in and starting to move the sled. He needs the help of the driver hitting that front handle. Otherwise, he's shifting it all himself. Now here, as you climb out of 15, little skid here, just checked it once. And he got the line he needed into 16. Yeah, big thumbs up, big smile from Mihai Tente of Romania. This sled's seen a bit of action, hasn't it? Dominik Dvorak and Jakub Nošek of the Czech Republic. Dominik now 28 years old, former decathlete and sprinter, a 10.9 100-meter man in his day. 26 World Cup as a driver after 2 two-man World Cups as a brakeman. And Jakub, 23rd two-man World Cup start for him as well. And with a brand new brakeman, 24-year-old Anis Bebris, has competed only in 8 official two-man races in the Europa Cup and the Junior Worlds last season. He's made his World Cup debut a couple of years ago. This is his 13th World Cup two-man start. And the final race in February was driven by Oscars Malbardis. And the red still behind teammate Oscars Kumans, but only by 300ths of a second. Speed is almost enough. What's he got at the bottom? No, not enough. He's not going to get to Kumans, but he should be in second place at the line. Oh, how did he do that? Excuse me, 49.96. Well, that was 500 slower than Kumans, but he had 800s in hand. So 4.98 start. They just hang on, so it will be a top 8 finish at worst for Russ Berchens. A little late flop. And out of 14, late on means late off. Really climbing the wall there. Didn't have a massive panic to get it off. That was one of those, lots of track knowledge. I've got this, I've got this. I know it's not going to look pretty, but I've got it. Of course, none of those are actual thoughts. He just doesn't flinch. Second of our Italian sleds now is Patrick Baumgartner with Lorenzo Bilotti behind him. Baumgartner now 26 years of age. The former skier, was the boys youth Olympic champion in 2012 in bobsleigh ahead of Benny Meyer and Rudy Rinaldi. Lorenzo Bilotti in only his second two-man World Cup start, a former 400-metre sprinter. One other two-man race was in Lake Placid, November 2017. 5:06 getaway. That's a little slower than their first heat, 5:02. Baumgartner dropping behind immediately. The Italian sled did seem to have better speed than the Latvians in the first heat. Maybe the track has come a bit more to the Latvian choice of runners. He's only top 6 speed here. Getting better. Still a 10th behind Berchens. There's only 300s from first to second. A 10th back is Dominik Dvorak in third place currently. And at the line he is. Oh, skid across the line. 900s, 100th ahead of the driver from the Czech Republic. So he drops a couple of spots into third place with a 50.07 compared to a 49.78 in the first heat. So 2100 slower. Quite a hard take on to turn 11, big first wave, and leaves him struggling a little on the exit. Whipping here into 15, big height early as well. Lets it go up to the roof, gets it off pretty straight. Takes a tap, but didn't look like a big skid. So there's Baumgartner, drops a couple of spots. It'll be a safe top 10 finish for him. That may well be Patrick Baumgartner's first top 10. Best of the Latvian pilots in the first heat is our World Cup debutant, 22-year-old Davis Kaufmanis, with Ivo Kleinbergs, his brakeman, also making his World Cup debut. Now, if Kaufman's name seems familiar, that's because he was a long-time brakeman, turned to driving a couple of seasons ago. Gets his World Cup break on home ice. The perfect opportunity for the Latvians to bring him into the squad. That he knows possibly best of all from the front seats at any rate. 700ths of a second in front of teammate Russ Berchens. This is going to be close. He seemed to have better speed everywhere. Oh, huge skid though. That's the end of that, I think. 200s quicker, he's in the red. Up from 15 to 16, skids backwards into 16 as well. And I'm afraid that's the lack of experience, 50.22. So Davis Kaufmans Really good first heat, certainly compared to his teammates, but drops ground compared to them. That was half a second slower than his first run. You saw where almost all of that time went away. It was creeping gradually away from him down the run. Again, the 12 take on, a 13-14 take on. Makes it a 14. Gets very sideways, doesn't panic, don't steer. It's not the driver who steers the most, it's the driver who steers the least. It's just getting the steering in the right place. Well, there he is, Davs Kaufmanns. Disappointed, I think, not to hold a top 6 finish, but not a bad set of runs, and he can come back again and tidy up the act tomorrow. So now we're into a Germano phone top 5 with 2 Swiss and 3 German sleds. Ralf Bertjens of Latvia is our race leader as we get Simon Friedli. Now, Friedli crashed while in medal contention in race 1 in February. Next day, bounced back metaphorically, if not literally, and took the silver medal. Here with Dominik Schlepfer behind him. A 5:03 getaway. They had 4:96 in the first heat. That's a significant difference. 26-year-old Schlepfer in only his 2nd World Cup race, his first with Friedli. 100th behind, but best speed. And this is what we saw in the first heat. The second half of the track, his speed was excellent, and although his lines were as wild as we are used to seeing from him here, 200s back, could still take it from here. Bertjens didn't have great speed, little skid there as well. I don't think that's going to help him in any way, but he's still got the best speed, and at the line, 1300s back. Bertjens is looking like he knew that was going to happen all along. If he did, then he knows how to read a sled. So, drop down to 5th position for Simon Friedli. Didn't quite read the hand signals there. He thought that was a high 5. It wasn't. That was, you're in 5th place. Well, he'll know that it got wild down at the bottom. And so too, despite his relative paucity of experience, will his brakeman. Because the sled is doing, well, it may have been doing things that he is used to now from training, but couple of late exits. Here it looks like a good exit, but gets a tap on the wall, and then the sled breaks into a long meander, has a bit of a skid. And over the brow here, as you go over the outrun, gets light, and any lack of straight ahead is exaggerated down into 16. Puts him onto 16 on the wrong side of the track as well. So Simon Friedli slips down the order, and Ralf Bertjens guaranteed at least a top 5. Can Bertjens take a medal away from this race? He needs 2 of the remaining 4 athletes to give it away, basically. Michael Vogt next for Switzerland with Sandro Michel. They were the last on the start list this morning. 23-year-old driver, 24-year-old brakeman. 4:97, that is a great getaway. 4:93 they had in the first heat. Little tap 2 to 3, but as in the first heat, it was a square tap on the wall, so it didn't push him sideways. Looking a little bit more under control than teammate Simon Friedli, holds the steer there. Best speed so far down the ice. Quicker even than Roman Heinrich. Oh, and there we go. 1:49, still best speed. Nearly a kilometre an hour quicker than Kilo Mans. Still in the green over Ralf Bertjens. 7th best speed though. Is he done? Yes, he, oh no, he isn't. 49.82. So here's our new race leader. 1500s, laughter from Sandro Michel. 1500 slower than his first heat. Has anyone gone quicker? A nice smooth load from the duo. Mikkel Vogt didn't quite get his legs straight down onto the footrest as he would have liked. Luckily, the first corner's not too close. Decent exit off 13, but big skid. Off 14 rather, big skid on the run down to 15. Probably those mistakes at the bottom cost him maybe 1/10 of a second, but it is Mikkel Vogt who leads from Ralf Bertjens and Oskars Kiromanis. That's your top three with 3 to go. Final 3 sleds on the ice, first race in the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup season. We're here at Sigulda in Latvia, and all 3 of our top sleds are German. Christoph Harfer is the first of those, third after the first heat. This is his 8th two-man World Cup. 4 of his previous 7 races have been here, so now 5 of 8 in Sigulda. More than half of his entire World Cup career, short as it has been at this track. 5:01 getaway. He's in the bronze medal position. He was only 200ths ahead of the current leader, Mikkel Vogt of Switzerland. Vogt started 400ths quicker. That's the difference. Now, can he drive himself into a medal contention? Vogt got very squirrely out of 15, so he could still be behind until then. If he's not too far behind, it could yet come to him very late. 10th back, only 4th best speed. I think Mikkel Vogt is going to take a medal here for Switzerland. Not sure that Christoph Harfer's got enough. He's in the red. He's not as fast as he needs to be. 900s back. So Mikkel Vogt of Switzerland and Sandro Michel are in the medals. Christoph Harfer is second. Ralf Bertjens is third. And I'm not entirely sure that we are going to see either of the top 2 giving a medal away to Harfer. Well, there was a few little wayward moments. Allows the sled to drop just a little too much there. Watch the result on the exit. Very high, just close to disaster. Well, Mikkel Vogt won previous World Cup medal. La Plagne, France, who was a bronze medalist in January of this year. And Christoph Harfer's mistakes have allowed Vogt to move up into the medals. So Harfer gets another chance to think about it and try again tomorrow. As we get to our top 2. Francesco Friedrichs had 3 races here. He's won 2. That was the 2018-19 season opener, as it is now. And he finished silver in race 1 in February. Didn't do race 2, went back home to Altenburg. Let's see what he can do here. 481, good getaway, 300s quicker than his first heat. He's 800ths off the lead. But his advantage over Mikkel Vogt, 800ths as well. At least it was. It's now 4/10 of a second. Well, we say this occasionally about Francesco Friedrich. You'll see the odd loose run from him. Don't expect to see 2 in a row on the same day. What's the speed like? 10th best speed, but he's 3,500ths up still and skidding it away. Not enough ice, surely, to give away all of that time. He will be the leader at the line. 49.64, but how much better could that run have been? 10th best speed? Wowee, that's quite something. 112.9 to 114.9 in the 3rd speed trap. 124.3 to 124.9, the highest speed at the final speed trap. It got a little bit wild in the middle. Look at the ice cut by that back runner as it runs up the hill. Sled walking on the corner. It walked down the straight on him as well, and then 16 still. Big waves. Landed the exit, but it wasn't pretty in the middle. It was enough to take the lead from the man in the blue visor, who is our first round leader. This is Johannes Lochner with Christian Rasp, his brakeman, the two Bavarians. 800ths of a second the advantage over Francesco Friedrich. And for Hansi, a great opportunity to try and put one over on his teammate at the start of the season in Friedrich's favoured two-man competition. 30-year-old Bavarian in his 29th two-man race. And Lochner with 4 wins and 9 other podiums in two-man. Can this be win number 5? Little tap away, 2-3, 500s back. Start 486 was 500 slower than Friedrich. And that multiplies down the labyrinth. 900s back. Oh, and a little slap there as well. Doesn't look quite as wild as Friedrich. Bit of ice, skid, and he's a 10th back. He's not going to catch him, is he? The question is he going to be in second place? First to second is 2600ths of a second. Lochner's not going to win it, but he will be the silver medalist by 400ths. Wow, he closed it right down at the end. 49.76 run for Hansi Lochner. Francesco Friedrich takes his 3rd win in 4 starts here in Sigulda. Johannes Lochner in 2nd place, and Michael Vogt take his 2nd World Cup medal in 3rd. Well, that's the start of the rot, the rattle there, and then off 14 again. Late pressure puts the sled bouncing onto the running surface of the track, takes the hit, doesn't square him up enough. Tiniest of little breaths on the steering to get the sled going the way he wants. Yeah. So Johannes Lochner, Christian Rasp in 2nd place, the first heat leaders. And it is victory for Francesco Friedrich of Germany. Win number 27 of his two-man World Cup career. And I could probably document how many of those are with Torsten Margis. I can tell you at least here, Torsten Margis, that is his 1st win with Francesco Friedrich. 2 years ago, Alex Schuller won on day 1, Martin Grottkop won on day 2, and Grottkop was again in the sled, taking silver in February this year. So that's Torsten's 1st win in Sigulda. It's Torsten's 1st race in Sigulda. Francesco Friedrich the winner by 400ths for Johannes Lochner. Michael Vogt breaks up the German podium, sneaking ahead of Christoph Hafer. Ralf Berchins ends up as the best of the Latvians, ahead of teammate Ralf Skubemans, and the best in the first heat. Davos Kaufmans drops down to 10th place behind Dominik Dvorak and Simon Friedli. And those are your finishers from the first day's action in the two-man bobsleigh World Cup. So as ever, that middle section, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, deciding everything here in Sigulda. A really solid start, 481, fastest start of the competition for for Francesco Friedrich rather. And he managed to creep away from his closest rival, his compatriot Johannes Lochner, to overhaul the Bavarians' 1st round lead and claim victory to start the season. 2 seasons ago, Francesco Friedrich did exactly that on day 1, doubled up by winning on day 2. And that season and this went on to win the World Cup crown. Well, that's it done for day 1 of two-man bobsleigh. Don't forget we are back on Sunday morning. Well, kind of morning, 2:45 local time, midday 45 GMT. For race 2 of the two-man here in Sigulda. Till then, from me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew, thanks for being with us. Stay safe. We will see you tomorrow, 2:45 local, 12:45 GMT for the first of our 2 heats.